Hello everybody, my name is Mr. Hat, and today we are going over Curse of Chucky, the 6th film. We're 6 movies in, we got one more, like a week and a half from now. The remake will be coming out, and I can't wait. Curse of Chucky came out 9 years after Seed of Chucky, and it was the first one to go straight to DVD because of you-know-what. The original title was going to be Revenge of Chucky, which makes a lot more sense than Curse, because what is the curse in any of these movies? Talks of a remake started in 2008, but then they just scrapped that idea. But if you go back and look at the trailers for this movie, it was clearly marketed as a reboot. And we go back and look at that trailer. This movie is a return to form and a breath of fresh air after that big disappointment called Seed. Thanks a lot, Glenn. It's a movie that came out of absolutely nowhere. I didn't find out about it until the week it dropped. And let's go over the things I like and don't like in this week's Horror Franchise Wednesday.
Curse of Chucky.
Let's go over the things I don't like, because everybody likes to hear me bitch. Okay, first up, the mom. The mom, not the other mom, Nica's sister. The mom is a bitch. What the fuck's up with her? Okay, she makes Nica, the handicapped woman, get the door. So, bitch right there, and then like the guy's flirting with her, and she's like, oh, Nica, there's no way he'd be flirting with you. What a bitch. I hate that this movie makes you fill in the blanks with your own imagination about what the hell happened between the 5th one and this one. So there's like no like information at all, really. There's no Glenn or Glenda, thank God, but still I'd like to know what the hell's going on. Where are they? Are they still human, or are they a doll? What happened? We don't even find out who brought back Chucky or why, because was it Tiffany? There's no way after their sour relationship at the end of Seed. That makes no sense. Why would she bring him back? After he clearly like axed her right in the fucking face, or at least he thought he did. This is a one setting location. It's the same house from beginning all the way to end. And while it's a creepy house, great atmosphere, it just makes it feel low budget. And this movie does look low budget because of that and other stuff that I will get into. How exactly can they afford this house? It's pretty huge and it's in the middle of nowhere. There's nothing but forest like right around it. It's like you stick your hand out the window and you're touching the forest. It's like that close. It's completely engulfed by nothing but trees. And it's in the middle of fucking nowhere, so they can't scream for help, that type of situation, so they're screwed. But what does the mom do for a living? We don't know. She dies immediately. I wish they would have like set up good chemistry between the mom and Nica, because she's crying and bawling her eyes out like she cares about her mom. But we see nothing but bad blood between them at the beginning, so it's like, am I supposed to care for this woman? She's a complete bitch, and then she's dead, and I'm like, good, whatever. She can't make fun of you no more and say you'll never have a boyfriend and that you'll never have a real life and you're just gonna be stuck in this house with this crazy old hag painting flowers all the time. This movie has that typical no cell service cliche, and yeah, it's annoying every time you see it. But yeah, they're in the middle of nowhere, so I guess it makes sense. Can you hear me now? No? Oh shit, that's right, this is a horror movie. Chucky's look when he's not in like Barbie mode, as he calls it in Bride, is just awful. You can excuse it because of he's got like stuff on his face. No, like, it is just awful. He almost looks like the little girl if she was a doll. His face is like really fat, but when he's in normal doll good guy mode, it's not as fat. But then when he's like staring at that chick as she's like dying, clearly just a different size face. This movie has CGI blood here and there, especially towards the end when she's grabbing the knife and there's all this fucking like abundance amount of blood just pouring from her hand, and it's all CGI. And the worst CGI is Chucky himself. This is the first movie that I think has the CGI Chucky. Usually they'll use like little people when they need like Chucky to go upstairs or whatever. Like in the first movie, Child's Play, when he's going up those stairs to the insane asylum to get Andy, he's looking out the window. That's a little person. In this movie, Don Mancini, he really wanted to see Chucky go down the stairs. So we see this fucking horrible looking CGI Chucky going down the stairs, and it is god awful. Chucky doesn't speak or do anything for 45 minutes, just like the first movie, except you're 6 movies in now. We know who the killer is. You can't do that same mystery of like, is it Alice or is it Chucky? You know, you can't do that because we know it's Chucky. All right, they could have had a little bit more Chucky moments where he's speaking to Alice. Because this movie does try to, like, repeat the first movie, and that's another negative. It's like, I know you're trying to go back, like return to form, but it does it too much. It's like Halloween 2018 with all the nods to the original. You get so much of that in this one. It also pays homage to Bride, and I'll get into how in my spoiler discussion. Even the score in this movie, just a little part of it. There's a sound from the original Child's Play that's taken out and put in here. And the acting from the family, besides Nica, the acting from everybody else is just kind of just like, no. Like, it's kind of like they just took the first take of everything. But anyways, to go into the things I do like that there's no Glenn or Glenda. Sure, it's ruining continuity, but I'm willing to accept it this time because fuck that character. The good guy doll voice is back, and I think they borrowed sound from the first 3 movies and they put it in here because it doesn't sound different. I think it's different in Cult, but in this one it sounds just like the audio from the first 3 films. If I'm wrong, let me know. Nica, Brad Dourif's daughter, the guy who plays Chucky, in case you don't know. Nica Dourif, not Nica Dourif. What's her name in real life? Fiona Dourif. That's her name. Fiona Dourif. She's pretty good in this movie, and she's got to go through a lot of emotions, and she does it pretty well. I like that she's in a wheelchair, because in all these other movies, it's like, they're just dolls, kick their ass, and now it makes sense that, she's at a disadvantage. It makes more sense that she's having a hard time against Chucky. The soundtrack in this movie, this is the second best soundtrack in the whole franchise. I love Child's Play 2. I even like Child's Play 3, that military soundtrack, but this is the better soundtrack since Part 3, and I wish this could have been all of them, because this franchise is missing the soundtrack. You got the Michael Myers one, the Friday the 13th one, by Harry Manfredini, but the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise has their own score. This franchise has no score, but I think this score comes back in Cult, I believe. I haven't watched it again yet, but this is a pretty creepy score. And it has like that toy-like sound to it, that childish sound that Part 2 has, and it comes back in this one, and I love it. And I wish they could have used it earlier, but whatever. Don Mancini directs once again, but his directing's a lot better in this one. It's still not terrific, but there's a couple of cool shots in this movie. I like the beginning shot, the title card. That's pretty cool, and then the dinner scene. The atmosphere is back. We haven't seen cool, creepy atmosphere since Bride. Seed of Chucky had no atmosphere whatsoever, and it's just a complete comedy fest and not good comedy at all. This one, it's one setting location at this creepy gothic-looking mansion, kind of like the Michael Myers house in Halloween 5 that everybody hates. But this house is pretty fucking creepy. I'm surprised they live there. It's even got like a creepy elevator, which I believe is a homage to the elevator in the first movie, because it kind of looks the same. It's got the same thing going on with the metal cages. And this movie has some gore. It's not too much. It's not a whole lot. There's a few moments of small gore. I have the unrated version, and I watched that, and there's one death in particular that I will get into that's pretty awesome. I like that this movie's ending is dark and realistic. I can't really get into specifics because I'm not in my spoiler section yet, but trust me, if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. It's dark, it's very realistic, it ends in a way where you're like, that's how most of these movies should end. But anyways, let's move on. But before I go into my spoiler section, let's go over a couple of my awards. The Hottest Chick Award definitely goes to Nica. I could give it to the nanny, but I think Nica's just more awesome. And the Best Scene Award goes to the Stitch reveal. The scene that reveals that this movie is indeed not a reboot. I actually remember when I watched this movie, I was very confused because I heard nothing about this movie. And when I got to that point, it was like a bombshell dropped. It was like, what the fuck? This is a sequel. I was like worried the whole time that they rebooted the franchise. I was like, what? Why? Then you got to that point, I was like, oh, this is a sequel. How awesome. It was a great moment. That's why it's my favorite scene. Alright, spoiler discussion. Now, Chucky mails himself once again, and we do get confirmation towards the very end. When he's in that bag, he clearly breathes. And that's a question I've asked in Part 3 and Bride, I think, or Seed. It's like, does he breathe? Like, how human is he? Because that's what all these movies keep saying. It's like, he's becoming human. He's becoming human. Does he become human enough to be able to breathe and suffocate? Well, apparently not. But he's still breathing. He can somehow mail himself in the box. I know I'm overanalyzing, but still, it makes me ask this question. It's like, so you can't suffocate Chucky, but you can axe his arms and legs off, put him in a blender fan and kill him, but you can't suffocate him. That's the one way you can't kill him. There's no holes in the box. How is he breathing? We get a lame off-camera kill at the beginning. The mom, what a bitch. Still a bitch. But then we get that cool like title shot. It just goes in like a 360 and like goes into like a whole day later. And there's like cops in the background talking to Nica. It's a pretty cool shot. I like the way they did it. Am I the only one that thinks Ian in this movie looks like Mark Ruffalo? The nanny in this movie gets paid $400 a week. That is $10 an hour if she works 40 hours a week. Pointless information, but I just wanted to think about it and I wrote it down. Chucky whispers to Alice just like he did to Andy in the original. This is one of those things that's like a callback to the original. He's like whispering to her, and then like later on he's in bed with her. We got that same like scene from the first movie ripped out and placed here, where she's like, Chucky said this, and the mom's like, what? No, he didn't. Who told you that? It's the same situation going on once again, and I just felt like, really, like, we're just gonna keep copying the first movie. This is a sequel, not a remake. I really like the scene where Chucky poisons the soup, because the first time I watched this movie, I had no idea which soup it was, so it was a surprise, and you got like all the fake outs. People were like, oh my god, it tastes funny. You're like, oh, it's them, and this guy is like going, oh, and then he like fakes out, and he's like, this is delicious, and you're like, oh, fuck you. You had me going there for a moment. And then we find out it's the priest, the most expendable character in the movie, so it's like, well, no shit, it's him. But I find it odd that he's lying, a bad priest, he's lying about his situation. He's like, oh, I gotta go do this. It's like, why don't you just ask them for help? Like, state your situation. Be like, okay, I clearly feel ill. Someone needs to take me to the hospital, give me some medication, help me out. I am dying. But his irresponsible ass gets in the car and causes a car accident. What were you expecting, dipshit? He's a fucking liar. But this time when I watched it, you could clearly tell that it was the father who sat at the poisoned soup. Because when the scene starts, it starts with the shot of the soup that's clearly poisoned. And if you just look at it and you keep your eye on it, you can follow it to the father. So it's easy to follow. It's not like it goes real fast and it's like, whoa, now I don't know which one's which. They all say that they recognize the doll from like the 80s, but this movie, I feel like it's purposely leaving out Seed of Chucky, because they don't say, yeah, I recognize that doll from that Chucky Goes Psycho movie that they were filming in Seed. So did that movie get scrapped and no one ever heard of it? There was news reports of it. Like I said, like, this movie just ignores Seed a lot. But at this point, how does no one recognize the doll as, hey, the doll from all those murderous reports that we keep hearing about in multiple different locations? They just go, oh, that doll looks familiar because it's the doll from the 80s. And it's like, no, it's the murderous doll that you should all know about by now. Then we get the first moment of gore in this movie when the father crashes his car and kills 2 other people. So Chucky accidentally killed a couple extra people when the father got in a car accident. There's like 2 other bodies on the ground. And then we get the cop, who is multiple Malcolm in Cult of Chucky. He comes back. But this death kind of makes no sense. I don't know how it happened. Like, we get this, like, hood. I guess the hood of the car or some piece of shrapnel came up and, like, hit his neck. But his head's sitting perfectly still. And then they remove it. And then his head just, like, plops back and it just falls off. And his hand is somehow severed in the back seat, clenching his crucifix. How, like, like, when he crashed his car, was his hand like this? And then, like, it just cut his hand and flew. I'm like, how you explain that one? This house has a window in the shower. I don't know whose idea it was to put a window next to your shower. I don't care if you live in the middle of nowhere. Someone could be watching. Then we get the lesbian makeout scene. This is Don Mancini putting some lesbian stuff in this movie, and we will get more in Cult. It's very unnecessary. I mean, think about it. I mean, the only thing it's here is to shock the audience. Like, whoa! I thought that the dad was having an affair with the nanny because he was always looking at her, and then the wife would look at the dad and be like, I see what you're doing. But then they kind of like flip it, and it's supposed to be like a shocking moment, but it's like, who cares? This movie's about Chucky, not their little fucking love relationship. Who gives a shit? And this movie really does focus on the mom a little too much, and her acting's not good, and I don't care about her character at all. She's trying to get Nica to sell the house so that she can afford a life with this woman and divorce her dad and take the kid away. It's like, fuck this character. So immediately you want this woman to die, and you want the nanny to die, who pretends like she cares about Alice so much, as if Ian's such a horrible father. Like, the nanny clearly doesn't care about tearing his family apart, but she acts like she cares. There's nothing to suggest that Ian's a terrible father. He really cares, especially when he thinks that she might be dead towards the end. He really cares, and he states that he works at Starbucks. He's just trying to work and make a living no matter how little he'll make. He's still trying to work. He's a good dad. He's trying. So fuck the mom in this movie and fuck you, Nanny. I like that Chucky says life is short, but he says it in the good guy doll voice. And I brought that up in Child's Play 3. These dolls are only programmed to say 3 sentences, and you know what they are, so I don't need to explain it. Life is short is not one of them, just like in Child's Play 3. What did he say? I'll be back. Yeah. How does Chucky use that little voice box in him to say something that he's not programmed to say? Just saying. It makes no sense. How does he do it? Overanalyzing as usual, but whatever. Chucky twists his head Linda Blair style in the elevator. Creepy ass scene. I love that scene. Great moment of tension when she's in the elevator, the power goes out, she's stuck in the elevator with Chucky, and then when the power goes on, he's like laughing in the good guy doll voice, so now he's programmed to laugh in the good guy doll voice. Makes no sense. How's he doing that? See what I mean? 3 sentences, Don! Get it right! Finally, we get the scene where Chucky speaks. I heard someone say this was a CGI moment. I don't think it's CGI. It looks like his actual face. It could be. I don't know. But the first thing we finally hear Chucky says is after Alice says, you know, Chucky, I'm scared. And you got like all this thunder and lightning in the background. And he just laughs at her and he goes, you fucking should be.
You fucking should be.
Then we get Nica, and she's like, she's looking up, like where the Chucky doll came from. Cause she's like, where did I get this package? And they say it came from the evidence depository. So let me get this straight. So after the end of Seed or Bride, like I said, if this movie's ignoring Seed, then it still makes sense because you know if we pick up after 4, clearly cops came there and probably grab the body and put it in the bag. But the cops go to the hospital at the end of Seed and grab that bloody ass doll mess and put it in the evidence depository. Like I said, it's like I don't know how to fill in the blanks. Like, is this a continuation off of Seed or Bride? It's hard to tell. Because then, when she's researching the doll more and she sees like the article of Andy and the doll, there's all these web links, and one of them says like Niagara Falls, that's Bride. Kent Academy 3, and then one of them says LAPD. That's clearly Seed of Chucky. That is the only reference in this movie to Seed of Chucky, is that one little half-second blink and you miss it moment where she sees a link to the LAPD crime scene that happened in Seed. Like, that's it. I like how Jill and the mom, Jill's a nanny, and the mom, they're FaceTiming each other, and Jill thinks that the 8-year-old's right behind her sleeping, who could wake up at any moment, turn her head, and see her half-naked fucking nanny. It's like, that's risky. And the mom's doing some risky shit too. This scene confuses me because, you know, Chucky knocks over the water because there's a roof leakage conveniently for him. And the outlet's on the floor. Does anybody have a house where the outlet is on the floor? That makes no sense. I've never seen that in any condo, hotel, cabin. My house, never seen it. Outlets are always on the wall. But conveniently for this movie to work in this scene, the outlet's on the floor so she can be electrocuted. And I like how when, you know, the whole, like, the wiring, the electricity of the house is like, you know, it's short-circuiting, and because of what Chucky did, like, all the lights are flickering. But the laptops that they're using are flickering too. That makes no sense. Like, a laptop isn't, like, plugged into your house. It's charged on a battery using Wi-Fi. So if the power went out to the house, your laptop would still be on, you might just lose your Wi-Fi. But their screens are like, they're flickering violently, like for some sort of like dramatic effect. And it makes no sense. That's not how laptops work. Unless they do. Explain that I'm not gonna test it right now. Like turn my computer on and throw water at my wall where the outlet's at. Like, let's see if it works. But I'm pretty sure that's not how laptops work. They don't flicker when your house is not working properly. Like, that makes no sense. We find out that the husband put a nanny cam on Chucky so that he could eventually catch his wife in the act, because he's been suspecting her of being a lesbo for a while. I don't know what made him, how he found out about that. But My question is, how did you know that that would help you out? How did you know that putting the nanny cam on the Chucky doll that your daughter would be playing with would somehow, at some point that night, because he just put it on the doll that night, would help you catch her in the act? It does, because Chucky's on two legs walking around. He doesn't know that. But what made you think that that was going to help you with your goal, like achieve it? Like, that makes no sense. I know I'm saying that a lot, but there's a lot of things that make no sense. All right, putting the nanny cam on the doll, it's not going to catch your wife cheating on you, except it does, because like I said, it's just dumb. Ooh, is that a banana in your pocket, Chucky? Or are you just happy to see me? Oh shit, it's a knife. Then we get the Stitch face reveal, and I like how it's like slowly being done. It's adding tension because you don't know when he's gonna like snap out of it and like attack her, and he finally does after like 3 peels, and then he takes the rest off. And this Stitch face look, it's better than what we got in the first half of this movie, the regular look, because it's like I said, it's weird. But it's still not better than Steed, and it's definitely not better than Bride. I don't like this look at all. And it's lacking continuity once again, because there's scars that should be longer and like staples. There's no staples at all. So was there more to it that he just didn't take off? I can excuse it and like make it work. But I felt like he took all of it off, and they just fucked up on the look, because it's different. Like, there should be staples, and this should be longer, because I know the look. Like, he should have like a line going down his neck too, but he doesn't in this one. And then we get my favorite one-liner in this movie when he kills the sister, and he says, you got your mother's eyes, and they were always too fucking close together. And he stabs her right in the fucking eyes, and then her eye like pops out and like goes down the stairs. And then that's when we get the CGI Chucky going down the stairs, and it looks god awful. Going back on the nanny cam thing, it's an interesting idea for the film, but unfortunately it does nothing really. Because then like when Ian like hits live feed, clearly it says live feed, and he just stares at it for a full 15 seconds of himself looking at a computer. Like, he was so stupid. It's like, turn around, moron. And I like how somehow Chucky was able to hit Ian with so much force with Nica's wheelchair that he was able to do a full-on front flip. How does that happen? That's just like a lazy writing moment. It's like, how do we get Ian on the ground and incapacitated so that Chucky can take him out? But then we get the goriest death in the movie with some CGI enhancements, where Chucky chops off its jaw, and you can see like his like neck bone or something. There's like a bone sticking out there, and it's gnarly. Just chops its jaw off. Comes with a one-liner. It's not that good. Now Chucky gets decapitated, but there's no blood. And then when he gets stabbed in the chest later by Nica, and she pulls the knife out, there's stuffing. What the fuck? In the 5th movie, he clearly had blood. In the 4th one, he had blood. 3rd one, blood. 2nd one, blood. 1st one, only blood in his heart. So this movie is like going back to the 1st one. He has no blood. You can only shoot him in the heart. Where he got stabbed in the heart, still alive. So that's just another thing that really irritates me about this movie. It's just that alone. Just little things like that just ruin continuity. And you're just like, really? How do you fuck something up like that? Show me some blood. He clearly had blood in the other 5 movies before this. I mean, for crying out loud, he has blood on his eye where he has the scar. How does he have blood there, but he doesn't have blood when he gets decapitated? It's just a stump. Alright, let's speed it along, because I know this is going to be way long, and I don't want this to be long. Okay, she falls off. Okay, she clearly would be dead. He pushes her over the balcony. She would be fucking dead. Like, she would break something. I know she can't feel below the waist, but still, she would be fucking screwed. What else? Chucky ran from the police because of Nica's mom, supposedly. Okay, so it took him 25 years to come back to this family. This is another thing that pisses me off about this movie and puts it below, like, Bride, is because of this alone. This right here, if this wasn't in here, it would be above Bride, but no. Don Mancini somehow, once again, fucks up the lore of the first movie in this whole franchise by going back, and I like that they didn't recast Charles Lee Ray, so I want to point that out. He even has like, the same outfit on, and he has that voodoo knife, it comes back. But it's stupid. Like, how does Eddie Caputo play into this story? They go back and they're like, oh, he was a friend of some other friend that was related to Nica's father, and then he killed Nica's father because he wanted to be with the mom, and he was just a kidnapper. Is he no longer the Lakeshore Strangler? Like, he never had like a partner in crime and never strangled a bunch of people? Because I guess not. They all didn't like look at him at the cookout in that footage. Like, oh, that's the Strangler. Like, was he a Strangler, Lakeshore Strangler after he kidnapped the mom? You know, he had her tied up and he was doing like strangulations and shit, or before? I don't know. Like, stupid. Eddie Caputo does not play into this story at all, and he's not wearing no heart of Damballa around his neck in that scene. I do think it's funny that he looks like Tommy Wiseau. Chucky. Charles Lee Ray in the flashback, he looks like him. Another little thing I want to point out is when he like tells like the story and it like flashes back to when he killed Nica's mom, and you see her on the ground with the scissors in her chest. If you look closely, Chucky has his Stitch face. I don't need to explain why that's wrong. It just is. Alright, now we get to the ending that I said was dark and realistic, and that's because Nica gets arrested and sent to an insane asylum. That is some shit that should happen at the end of a lot of horror movies where, like, everybody dies except one and they kill the killer. And it's like, okay, well, how are you going to get away with this? Like, your fingerprints are on a lot of tools and you're the only witness and survivor, so how are you going to get out of this? Finally, we get a movie that's like, yep, you're right. This person would not just be like, I killed evil and I get to just move on with my life. No, they're getting arrested. This is the first movie where Chucky gets off scot-free and actually lives. This is the only Chucky movie, except for the next one, where Chucky lives. So, yeah, he doesn't die at the end. Then we get the Bride of Chucky homages when we get, like, Tiffany coming in. She's got the Tiffany hairdo, the outfit. She's got that same, like, you know, that knife or nail file or whatever the hell she has. That she slits the cop's throat once again. He's doing the same thing. He's got the garbage bag with Chucky in it, and we see him breathing. Repeat of Brides. We get, you know, little winks and nods to the first one and the fourth one. Then we get Chucky successfully possesses Alice. So this is the first time that he successfully puts himself in someone else too. And like we get confirmation of this in Cult. But yeah, I know for a fact that he was Alice for a while, and I guess he got her killed. We'll find out in Cult. I'll watch it again to make sure, but yeah, I'm pretty sure he does possess Alice. Even though at the end of Seed of Chucky, he was like, I just want to be a doll. I don't even want to be human no more. Whatever. But I guess at this moment, he is still the doll and Alice at the same time. Because in Cult, he can like just put himself in all kinds of bodies and whatnot. Whatever. So I guess in that moment, he put himself, a little piece of himself in Alice, and then sent himself as a doll to Andy, and we get the return of Andy Barkley, Alex Vincent. We get actual Alex Vincent back to play this role, and this was a shock when I first saw it. I'm sure it was for a lot of people. This is another thing that gives this movie bonus points, raises it up, but still, that fucking backstory, CGI Chucky, ruins it. But Andy, he's on the phone, he's talking to his mom. So, the mom's not in an insane asylum no more, and he even makes mention of Mike Norris. He's like, hey, how's Mike? So, they ended up getting together, so that's nice to know. See, we got some closure on something. I like that Andy's watching cartoons, so it basically implies that he's still a kid at heart, because Chucky in this movie says, I killed Andy's childhood, so he's still trying to be a child, like he's watching cartoons as an adult. But that's the end of Curse of Chucky. It's a pretty decent watch. I mean, it's a one-setting location movie. It's got some good tension here and there, a great acting by Fiona Dourif, a couple of good gore moments if you're into that. No boobs, but you get some lesbians making out of that sure thing. Just a couple of things that really did lower this movie for me. Like I said, the whole backstory thing, it wasn't needed. It just taints the first movie. That is a cardinal sin for sequels. You never make a sequel that goes back and ruins or fucks with the first one. You never do that, and that's what this movie does, and that's why it pisses me off. But overall, it's still a good Chucky movie. It's a giant step up from Seed of Chucky, so I'll still say when it comes to Curse of Chucky, that this is still a movie that I say is worth to go out and buy. And the Mr. Hat Award for Best Kill goes to Ian! Mark Ruffalo lookalike. Gets his jaw chopped off, and you just see his tongue there and a little bone or something. It's pretty funny. Awesome bloody effects. And the Mr. Twig Award for Worst Kill goes to the mother, because she's a bitch, and I wanted to see her die on screen, but I didn't. And those are my thoughts of Curse of Chucky. What did you think about this movie? Put your thoughts about it in the comments below. What's your favorite kill? What's your favorite shot? Favorite one-liner from this movie? And are you excited about the remake coming out next week? I will be seeing it Thursday night, and I will get you that review up by Friday morning. Can't wait to talk about it. Anyways, hit this like button over here to support this video, and you can follow me on social media if you wish to do so, and consider becoming a subscriber today just by clicking on my cartoon face in about 5 seconds to see more. And until next time, I'll feed this in.